Hello and welcome to Alternate Image Raid. This is a Raid Shadow Legends video, and it's finally time that I talk about the new system in depth and my feelings of the Soulstone Summon, Awakening, Blessing, Altar of Souls thing that Raid dropped on us a few weeks back. And I didn't really want to give a full deep dive on my thoughts until I'd really gotten a chance to interact with it a bit more, because initial impressions can be misleading sometimes for systems like this. So now that I've had a couple weeks to work on it, I've done summons a handful of times now. I've gotten souls collected, and I've awakened some different things and had some mixed experiences between the different features of the systems. I figure like now is the time to talk about what I think. And overall, I would say I am overwhelmingly bleh about it. It's not incredibly bad, not incredibly good. It does have some positive aspects of it. Some of the awakenings you can get are pretty neat. Like the Brimstone Blessing is obviously very strong. There's a couple other ones in here that are pretty decent. Of course, the Intimidating Presence is very powerful. The Lightning Cage, I think, is actually considered decent. The Hero Soul is potentially increased damage for waves and spiders. Like there's a lot going on here that can buff up your teams and your champs and gives you some additional flexibility and customization, or at least the feeling of it, until you get into the system a bit more and you realize that the low tier blessings don't matter. And I don't mean that in the sense of, S tier through F tier or whatever, because that's even more so. Obviously, things that are worse are worse, and you're not going to use them. But when you look at intimidating presence, even, or particularly, let's even go for the epic version of it, strengthens your team's aura by 2.5%. When you apply this to, say, Arbiter, one of the fastest speed leads in the game in terms of her aura, this equals a 1 point increase in speed if you have a 1-star or 2-star even blessing of this. Once you get to 3-star, it becomes a 3 point increase in speed up to, I think it's 10 at the 6-star level. But at the 1, it's doing nothing. The 1 point of speed is not winning your arena battles. It's not making a huge difference anywhere in your account. If you compare that to somebody with 30% increased defense to your team, that's a 1% increased defense, and it just they just don't matter. The the a lot of them are very specific. They're very niche. Damage received under a specific debuff, HP burns in arena. Like, some of these are just kind of worthless. There may be some very niche contexts in which they're going to matter, but like the Hero Soul, 0.5% damage for each enemy at 1 star. When you're on the Spider, that can get you 6.5% if all the Spiderlings are up for the champion doing this, which is fine, but it's not likely that you were 6% away from a faster run or not on one of your champions. Of course, when you get into the 6-star and you find that you're sitting here at a 36% increased damage, noteworthy again. Plus, of course, then you get the attack, the crit damage, and the speed. But it's just, I don't know. This part, the abilities feel great, but aside from a couple, Smite is a good example. This is still really powerful early on. The 20% chance of having this, particularly because there is a cooldown for this ability, and it's only going to proc on certain enemy abilities anyway. Having it up only occasionally still can be a couple million increased damage on, say, Clan Boss. It still can be a decent amount of damage on the Iron Twins. But so for the actual reward is the most lacking part until it's really big. Once you get the 6-star version of Brimstone, and now your 100% chance of smiting, when you get your intimidating presence here up to 35%, big weaken plus the stat boost, then it becomes pretty significant. And there's some of them that just don't matter until you get to that point. Ward of the Fallen, you're taking decreased damage based on your bone armor stacks until you get to 6-star. The bone armor stacks won't come back onto your champion, and so outside of some very niche wave content, this just isn't going to matter. When this gets to 6-star, however, it's going to be significant damage savings onto a boss. And there's a couple other ones that work in a similar way. Crushing Rend is one of the best examples. So the first hit in each round will ignore a percentage of target's defense, 1% per every 50 levels. So for the most part, outside of against higher level content, Doom Tower and things like that, you're only going to get a couple percent defense ignored, which is fine. It's a little bit of free damage, I guess you could look at it. But mostly it's just that first hit. 2-star, 3-star, just the first hit. So unless you're able to wipe that enemy and kill them entirely in one turn because of this, getting 1 or 2 or 3% ignore defense is not going to do that for you, most likely. 1, 2, 3-star just does not matter. On the other hand, when you get to 5-star, it's a 2 hits, which is a bit helpful if you're going to 2-shot, waves or something. But 6-star, every hit. This opens us up to every boss. It's massive. And so while the system, that the powers are nice, I really dislike how it takes all the way to 6-star before they matter. So let's recap again the system real quick, just for the record of how this whole process works. So first you go into the dungeons, you do the Iron Twins Fortress as best you can. I have mixed feelings about the Iron Twins Fortress, but overall I like it. I think it's something interesting to build around. I can technically do the stage 15s. I have a video for the team that does that, but it's not consistent and it's not fast. So I usually end up farming. For this one, I'll farm at 14 and risk a fail or 2. Otherwise, I tend to farm at 12 or 13. I can do it pretty easy. On 12, I can do it on auto with a variety of teams. So I think it's fine. I think the strategy for Iron Twins, that's having something new. The RNG feels a little bit rough when the boss cleanses their abilities, based on taking an HP burn proc or your team hitting, even if you're using a Geomancer strategy. That feels kind of rough to fail if it hits at the wrong time. But there are ways around that, and I'm sure we will discover more, particularly as our champions get these blessings and get stronger. So we get our currency again from this. We get these 3 types of currencies. We then go to the Altar of Souls. The first place is the Mystic Market. We can spend those coins directly onto soul stones, or we can spend them on soul essences. If we spend them on soul essences, or we get some of these from the Iron Twins directly, then we can go to the soul merchant and we can buy these 1-star souls or split souls directly. And I'll get into the split souls and where my issue, the most negative part for me really comes, which is why the split souls are necessary. Of course, we then come into the Soulstone Summon. We summon things, and then we have them collected in our souls. Now, there's a lot of these that I need to get rid of. I'm really not going to use, so it's time to sell some of these off that I've been sitting on for a little while, and it's just time to get them gone. Time to make space. I've been hoarding them for pretty much no reason. So we go in here, and I'm actually going to drop a couple of summons now, because why not? This seems like the video in which to do it. Wow. I got a legendary, which is really cool. I got another legendary. This is just trying to make me have some different opinions, I guess, about this system. Fushan, I at least have, I don't use. Gerptuck, I do not have. And Cage Breaker and Terror Beast, I have them, not really going to use them. It is important to note that this will show you if you have it or not. If it has this symbol right here, it's in both interfaces of this. Then you have the champion. If you don't have the symbol, you don't have the champion. I don't know. Let's hit a couple more. We'll finish off these soul stones, and then I'll keep going through with the discussion of this a bit. Getting 2 legendaries in a 10 pull is fairly good odds. Getting at least 1 legendary that I don't have and another one I don't use is also pretty typical, and highlights a couple of the problems with this system, which is you have a unfortunately strong chance of getting souls that you don't use. You can get a little bit of currency back, but it's not a significant amount of currency returned to you for the frivolous soul that you picked up. But the Soulstone summons is the only cost-effective way of potentially getting higher tier souls. Well, see, I have a 5-star soul for Royal Guard, and that came from one of those Soulstone summons. This will be a future video where I figure out what I think is the best thing to use on this and see if it has made a difference for his damage on my account. I'm still at this point a little bit torn. It's the best way to spend some of this currency here at the market if I should be trying to buy Immortal Soulstones directly or save the essence. And I continue to mostly hoard these resources for the chance that that is the way. Because we'll see at the merchant, the other thing that happens is these split souls are the way that you can guarantee yourself to get past the 1, 2, 3 star, whatever that you're at. If you already have a champion that is awakened to a certain point, say they already have a 1-star soul on them, and you pull another 1-star soul, it becomes worthless unless you have a dupe of that other than for this tiny bit of currency that you get. And the amount of currency you get is just not enough. It just isn't. So we get 95 if we sell a 1-star legendary soul. 95 buys us less than 2, but we'll just say 2 for rounded numbers, Immortal Soul Essence, of which we then need 20 to buy a 1-star soul. So it gives us less than 10% of its value back to us. Obviously pretty rough. But the only non-random way of getting the stuff, it's somewhat random because the this market does rotate, but at least you can choose what you're buying, is to come in here and buy these souls and then buy the split soul. So I have a Cold Heart that already has 3 stars. So it'll give me the chance to buy the 4th star only. This will only work on a Cold Start with 3 stars, and it gives me that 4th. But we'll notice it costs 15 times more than a 1-star to get that 4th star. It's not an additional star added to it. You can't get 1 more star and add it. It's not the cost of 1 star. We'll see that for a 3-star, it's, what is that, 5 times, 6 times, almost 6 times more than it costs to get a 1-star for an epic. And that's only for a 3-star. Well, notice here we'd be looking at 15 times more, 150 or so for this. When we get to these, even a 2 or 3-star can be hundreds. And then once you get this past, I believe 4, it might be, or 5 stars, you can only use the Eternal Soul Essence, which is very expensive. You get a lot less of this currency, and it's going to be a really slow process to potentially buy the right soul. You have to wait for it to come up, you have to have the currency, and you have to have a lot of that currency before you're going to be able to buy the right soul. It feels bad. Doesn't feel good. I'm not happy about how that functions. But gambling on something that you can literally get the worst. I'll have another video linked in the description. I had originally, from my first set of pulls, 1 6-star perfect soul for a champion that I did use in a video, and it's an okay champion, but it's not what not who I prefer to have that on, but not a big deal. 6-star soul, really good luck. Pulled it from one of these. I did that crazy event, the Hero's Path, got a massive amount of points and got an Eternal Soulstone, which is very hard to get. Pulled a 5-star epic of that same soul. Completely worthless, other than for a little bit of currency selling here in my collection. That was awful, and it makes it hard to trust the RNG of these, because in this game, you'll usually hear me say, go for what's guaranteed, don't go for the RNG. But man, the merchant prices become so prohibitively expensive. I wish I had a rotation that had something more, because I do have a couple of 1 and 2-star of the epics and legendaries that I could show you. It becomes hundreds to get those to 3 and 4-star, and it will take months and months to get yourself a 6-star of anyone, even just one champion. Realistically, you will never get your entire roster to fully 6-star ascended ever, not in our lifetimes. In our lifetime, you will probably not get a whole roster 6-star Ascended, even if you stopped getting new champions right now. And that's rough. The currency cost is too much. They have to increase it, which leads us to one of the most common complaints about this system that almost has nothing to do with the system. But because of it, they are replacing more and more rewards with soul stones. Not really the immortals and the eternals, but with soul stones at all. And with, more soul stone. And I think in the spider tournament and with the currency for it. So this used to be something else. These rewards used to be books. They used to be chicken. They used to be gems and shards. And now they are the currency for this new system. So we have lost other rewards. The system has cost us above and beyond its existence. It is affecting other areas of the game and our rewards for those. And that's rough. If this had just been an ad, had this just been extra, had this just been more to get, it's a cost though. It is, there are just straight up negatives in terms of rewards and then negatives in terms of time. Well, I do like the Iron Twins Fortress. I do like it. If I wanted to actually attempt to get stage 15 each time, which does have failure rate for me, I'd be spending an extra half hour to an hour of my day on Iron Twins. And if I'm doing 15, I can't even auto it for the most part. So I'm sitting there attentively to my phone or computer on Raid for an extra half hour to an hour. Raid already has an awful lot of time that goes into this game in order to play it. And they needed to give us something back that saved time if they're going to take more time. They're taking rewards to give us some rewards that yield a very low return of the merchant or a very high RNG chance at the Soulstone summon. And then they've taken our time. So for this reason, it's why it's bleh. It's middling. I like the abilities. They're good. But getting them to a point where they matter is very slow. I like the boss. It's good, if sometimes frustrating on RNG, but the time that it takes us is problematic. I overall like the rewards that we're getting, but they've taken away other rewards for us to get these. So it's just, this system wasn't an ad. The system was an exchange. And for some people, that exchange will be worthwhile if you land a very lucky soul at high level. But for me, you'll see that I bought this ninja. I have a lot of souls I've gotten that don't matter, that I don't have the champions for. But if I sold them all, it wouldn't give me enough to even buy a 1-star soul. So I saved them in case I need it. So for me, this system has probably been a technically positive increase in power on my account, but relatively not. Relatively, I'm probably progressing slower than average. And I don't know. I just, I know it's been kind of a rambly thought on this one, but the system is okay. It's not great. It's not bad. It's not the worst thing they've ever done. Them taking away our 5-star chicken and sacred shard out of the login rewards is still worse. And yes, we have not forgotten. But it's not the best system either. It's not, I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Let me know if you've gotten this far in the video. I know it's been a bit long and rambly on this one, but that's how I feel about the system. The system's a bit long and rambly. Not the worst. It's not the best. Hopefully you don't think this video is the worst, though, and you give it a like and a comment and a sub. And if not, though, smash that dislike button, as it is still engagement for the channel. And as always, have a great day.